breaking news from News Channel 3.
I'm Joe Butita. This is News Channel 3 Midday, and we're following breaking news out of Los Angeles. These are live pictures high above UCLA. The campus placed on lockdown after a report of a shooting in one of the buildings there. First reports coming in just a little over an hour ago, the engineering building on campus. The school is on a full lockdown right now. Shooter reportedly still at large. The LAPD says that there are 2 possible victims down. The ABC station in Los Angeles, Channel 7, is reporting that there are 2 victims that have been killed in this possible shooting. So we don't know exactly where that's going right now, but Channel 7 is reporting 2 dead. The police continuing to rush on campus. The Daily Bruin, which is the school newspaper, tweeting out some live updates, and according to the Daily Bruin, the shooter is described as a white male about 6 feet tall. They're also saying he's wearing black jacket with a black pair of pants as well. Police also confirming that. This is finals week at UCLA. The semester's over June 10th. They're on the same schedule as UCSB. First reports of this shooting coming in just before 10 a.m. UCLA has 43,000 students. The engineering building right in the middle of campus. You can see all the LAPD officers and vehicles that are making their way there, heavily armed, full body armor as well. And we can actually go to some of the tweets that are coming in from the Daily Bruin, and you can see what they're saying here as we continue to try to find more information about what's going on at UCLA. Daily Bruin, of course, the school newspaper, they do a great job with things that are happening on campus, and they've been tweeting this out since the very first moments that things were initially coming in. Shooter described as white male, 6 feet tall, according to their sources. Several halls on campus. The whole campus is on lockdown, but several of the halls also been evacuated. Others on lockdown being told to shelter in place, secure, turn off all lights. And the shooting, of course, reported in the engineering building number 4 at UCLA. So we'll go back to those live pictures. You see a lot of officers running right now as they are, looks like they're moving in on a certain building. And we actually have someone joining us on the phone right now. I believe it's Brad McVeigh from the Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Department. Sir, thank you for joining us here on Midday. When you see something like this play out on a campus, I know we dealt with Isla Vista, which is just over 2 years ago now. What do you think, what's going through officers' minds as they really don't know what they're walking into?
Yeah, I think every time you see something like this, Joe, it's the same reaction. It's like, oh, no, here we go again. But right now, I can tell you, with law enforcement's focus is going to be trying to identify and locate that threat, that shooter or shooters. They're going to want to isolate them and ultimately stop them. At the same time, they're going to be gearing up to bring in medical resources and stuff like that for any victims. And literally, they're going to have to go room by room, closet by closet to clear that campus. It's going to be an extended operation once they've isolated it and stopped that initial threat.
Now, UCLA is a massive campus. How do you even start to know where to look for something like this? Do you go with what witnesses are telling you? A lot of times, witnesses are not as reliable as some other sources.
No, it can be difficult, especially in a situation like that, because there's confusion as to who actually is the threat. They can confuse that with somebody maybe trying to rescue someone else. So it is confusing. It's a lot of chaos, and it's trying to work through that, and develop that intel literally as you're running. So it is difficult. There is no easy way to deal with that.
All right, Brad McVeigh, thank you so much. Hold on one sec if you don't mind. We're going to go live to an interview that's taking place. I'm sorry, we have no audio on that, actually, so we're not going to go. So, Lieutenant McVeigh, I have another question for you. This is 419 acres. UCLA is a huge campus. When we relate this to what we saw in Isla Vista a few years ago, I mean, obviously officers very well equipped to handle something like this. What is the procedure when you guys are walking onto a school campus? I mean, is everybody going to be having to be pat down if they walk out? How does that work?
Each situation is going to be a little bit different. I'm certain that the officers responding to that campus, as well as the officers that are already on campus, have been there before. They're familiar with the layout. They're going to go in, and they would already have developed a plan on how to respond to this type of incident on campus, just like we've done with local campus facilities here. As far as how long that's going to take or how that's going to go into place or what their system will be, I wouldn't be able to speak to that.
Sure, I know it's hard for you to comment being kind of on the outside looking in. But as we take a look here, I mean, the response is large. In your experience, how long could something like this take to go through an entire campus?
Well, especially the size of campus you're talking about, this could actually take days. Reality is they're going to have to do less than that because there's people going to have immediate needs, but they're going to have to go through and do an initial quick search for a threat, another quick search for victims, and then a very strategic room-by-room search for to identify any secondary threats, any victims that weren't located, or people that may still be hiding.
All right, so hold on one sec if you don't mind. We're going to show you a picture of the engineering building right now, which is where this shooting reportedly happened. This is what it looks like. This is a Google image that we found of that engineering building. Of course, the UCLA campus, beautiful, just a gorgeous place to go. Much like UCSB, if you're walking around campus, you feel like you're in a small community. It is a town. It is an entire city. And of course, 43,000 students at UCLA, and that campus on lockdown right now. 2 reported shot in the engineering building, and as we go back to more live pictures, you can kind of see the scope of what we're looking at here. These are massive buildings. There's an entire hospital there, the Ronald Reagan Medical Center, that is nearby as well. There's stores, students, faculty members. With the 43,000 students, there's all these people that have to teach them, and of course people that just visit on campus as well. So you see, here's one of the ground shots we're getting from the Westwood streets right now. Again, John Gregory down at Channel 7 reporting that the 2 victims in this shooting reportedly dead. We're going to have to wait and find out exactly if that is true and if this shooting happens to be some kind of conflict. If we have Lieutenant McVeigh still there, in your experience, sometimes if these shootings, depending on what the relationship is between the people involved, is the threat a much larger one, or do you have to kind of wait until you know?
Yeah, and you identified exactly what they're going to be trying to determine immediately. Is if these people were specifically targeted? In other words, it was a limited attack, or if it's random. If it's random, it's very good. It can be very difficult to identify and locate a potential shooter.
All right, so we have confirmed into our newsroom now that there are 2 people that have been killed in this shooting at UCLA. And there's statements coming in from all over the place, including the VA, which is, if you know Westwood at all, there's an enormous VA hospital that is down there. So I'll just read what they're tweeting out right now. We're aware of the UCLA active shooter. We're monitoring the situation, and we'll notify you of any developments that may affect our facility. So if you have a lot of people, that's kind of the main hub here in Southern California. If you're going to a VA hospital, the Westwood location, certainly one of the spots that you'd go to. And the building you're looking at here is the engineering building, and it looks like we may be able to get some reaction to what's happening here. The LAPD is holding a news conference right now. We're going to work on trying to get that up for you with some sound here in the next couple of moments. And I don't know if our CNN channels are working at all. It looks like they're down right now. But these, of course, the LAPD tactical alert, the entire city. So if Lieutenant McVeigh is still there, what does that mean when a city is placed on tactical alert?
Basically, I mean, every single one of their emergency resources is now dedicated to this event. And also they're staging in case there's a secondary event somewhere else. So they'll have an immediate response team, and they're going to have secondary standby teams available to respond to additional threats in other areas, should that occur.
Just we're watching the pictures here. Of course, the LAFD on the scene as well, presumably helping with anyone that might be injured in this. When you see kind of scenes playing out like this, I know we've been talking about it for the last couple of minutes, but what goes through your mind when you've probably been in at least a situation where you think you're responding to something like this? What would you be going into? What's your mindset walking in?
Well, that's a difficult question. Like I say, our goal, like I said initially, is to identify and locate that threat and stop it in whatever way we can. After that, then you have time to settle down, kind of take a look at what's occurred or what might be occurring, and kind of develop a plan at that point based off of plans that you've developed ahead of time. But once you know the scope of what you're working with, then you have a chance to really kind of break it up and put people in roles to help with the different aspects of recovery from the incident.
Let's reset the scene here. This is UCLA right here at 11:09. This shooting reported in the engineering building just before 10 a.m. this morning. The LAPD saying that 2 people have been killed in this shooting at UCLA. Campus placed on lockdown. The entire city of Los Angeles on tactical alert. The shooting happening, first reporting in the engineering building, which we've been showing you a photo of as well. And it's still the shooter at large. They've reported that this person is wearing all black pants, black jacket. We don't have any details on a possible weapon that was used, the type of gun. But again, 2 people dead at UCLA in this shooting this afternoon. We're going to take a quick break and come back with much more here on Midday.